take a listen to this. This is Shams, and there's a lot here. There's the Jazz angle, there's the Warriors angle, and there's Shams' inability to say the word Podziemski.
The Warriors and Jazz, they have continued conversations. It's just the Jazz are in a position right now, and they wouldn't be even thinking about moving Lauri Markkanen if this was a team that is trying, like Ryan knows, if you're trying to compete and win, that's a guy you compete and win with. This is a team that obviously is going down more of a rebuilding path, and if you're going to rebuild and you're trying to compete for not a playoff berth, but probably the number 1 overall pick, you have to consider. I don't think they want to move Lauri Markkanen, but if the Golden State Warriors put in a Brandon Podziemski, and from what I'm told, 3 first-round picks, 3-4 unprotected pick swaps, 3-4 second-round picks.
Is that a name?
Kuminga's a name, but I think the Jazz, from everything I've been told, the Jazz are more focused on Brandon Podziemski and his inclusion in the deal, all the picks being in the deal. And I think from the Warriors' perspective, it's Podziemski, but then there's not all the picks. And if it's all the picks, then there's not going to be a Podziemski. And so this could be a back and forth, but both sides are kind of entrenched right now at where they're at, saying nothing is going to change. So only time will tell, but I think the Jazz are very comfortable with extending Lauri Markkanen, and at that point, you'll see more suitors potentially as well in him, not just teams that feel like, okay, we'll be able to re-sign him.
I'm very confident that Lauri Markkanen is not going to be a Warrior by August 6th, and I could be wrong. But the reason for that is Joe Lacob and the Warriors are nobody's fool. And the more I listen to this, the more I feel like the Jazz are just checking to find out if there's a fool in the NBA. It's not that they want to trade Lauri Markkanen, because their ability to trade him, quite frankly, only grows. It only grows if they sign him, especially if they sign him on August 6th. The one variable that we don't know, and you brought this up earlier, is what Lauri wants. Is he going to use potentially some of his leverage over the next couple of weeks based on where he wants to be, where he might want to sign an extension? But someone who's made $70 million in his career could play that game, but I doubt it, based on the fact that there's going to be over $200 million more on the table for him to sign that extension. If Utah signs it, doesn't mean they got to pay all of it. Warriors signed Jordan Poole to an extension that paid none of it. So they could trade him at the deadline. They could trade him next offseason before it kicks in. All of those things are still possible, and you probably get more teams to the party. And there's 2 main reasons I feel like this truly is just a fishing expedition. Number 1, Shams knows too much. In other words, I don't know that he knows anything, but this is too public. We're getting daily updates. Tim McMahon, Shams, Woj, here comes TK, Monty Poole. Everybody's like, Jazz Warriors, Jazz Warriors. That's not how it usually works when teams are actually hammering out the specifics of a deal. It's too public. And nobody on the inside would want it to be that public unless what they were trying to do was leverage something or send out some sort of a message. And then the other clue is what Shams said the Jazz are looking for. Sure, it's Brandon Podziemski.
Not Podziemski?
And 11 or 12 picks? What the hell are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense at all. 3 or 4 first-round picks, 3 or 4 first-round pick swaps, unprotected, 3 or 4 second-round picks. What are we doing? What are we doing? Essentially, you're setting a bar at such a ridiculous spot. You're sending the message to the league, we've got all the juice. If you don't make this asking price, we're out. They're checking to see if there's a desperate fool out there. The Warriors are a mark because they know that they want to maximize Steph, and they just lost Clay, and the fan base is anxious after missing the playoffs. They're a perfect mark, but I trust that the Warriors are not going to blink and do something stupid. I'm pretty confident that this whole thing is it's BS.
Well, it depends on if there's a taker. And right now, it feels like the Warriors are the only team that is really that actively trying to be a part of the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes. But remember, August 6th is still a long ways away. That's 3 weeks until he can even sign an extension. And so you would anticipate if something happened, it would be probably closer to August 6th, where you could talk to Lauri Markkanen and figure out if he wants to be a Warrior, if he would sign an extension here, if it was a part of a trade where, it wasn't a sign and trade, it was a trade and then he gets an extension here, you'd probably want to suss that out well in advance. But the more we go down this road, the more it feels like the Aaron Judge pursuit by the Giants, where the Giants were seemingly super thirsty, super active. They wanted it bad. And Aaron Judge kind of used them, I think, to further his own case. He kind of strung the Giants along to get the word of a bigger offer, and then he immediately went back to the Yankees and signed there, and kind of the Giants were left holding the bag. It feels a little like this. Not that the Warriors are going to, go that far down the road. I don't think that they're going to get to a point where it's Moody, Pajemski, Kuminga, and 5 picks. Will you do it? Will you do it, please? I don't think that they're going to be that thirsty, but it does feel a little bit to me like they're being used in the pursuit of Lauri Markkanen.
Well, I don't even know that there's a pursuit. I really think the Jazz are just like, throw it out there, see what happens. And if somebody blows us away, then maybe we'll have a phone call. But we're not really interested in dealing Lauri Markkanen. And the Warriors, I do think that they'll behave accordingly. I think they are interested in Lauri Markkanen, but they're not going to be stupid about it. Like, you're hearing their leverage play as well. Their leverage play as well is like, we're like you want all of our young players and all of our draft picks? No, we're not doing that. And Dibs, we've got fresh Lacob.
We do?
We got fresh Lacob.
I love it.
This is from the TK pod. Our buddy Tim Kawakami, part of the Odyssey network. And Joe Lacob talks about 2 different things. First of all, there is the discussion about what went down with Klay Thompson. I'm going to hold that aside and move this one to the top, which is Lacob talking about trades. They wanted Paul George, didn't get Paul George. They want Lauri Markkanen. We'll see if they get Lauri Markkanen. This is part of the Warriors' leverage play, where they're explaining, we're not going to do a trade so that we can do a trade. Here's Lacob on the TK pod.
Trades are the hardest. Very, very hard to pull off trades because everyone wants to prove how, these GMs, how smart they are. And it's true. And they want to impress their owners. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But here's the problem. I think if I could share anything with many of the fans out there, and I read everything, I read what people say, the criticisms and the positive things. They don't understand how hard it is and how illogical some of the parties on the other side are sometimes. Maybe we're illogical too to some extent. But my point is, it's just really, really hard to pull these things off. And everyone writes all this stuff and they have no idea what the other side's asking for in some of these things.
Okay, that's interesting. I think that's incredibly interesting. Fans don't understand how illogical the other side is.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that's just a window into this particular conversation. Is he hearkening back to the Paul George, or is he hearkening back to all discussions? But if we do keep that in this moment, there's another sort of snapshot of what the Jazz are saying to him. Yeah, give us all of your picks. Well, for how many years? For all the years. The rest of your life.
Till 2,300.
We'll give all the picks and all the players. Anybody who hasn't turned 25. Joe's like, what the hell are you talking? Like, that's
illogical.
What are you talking about?
Right.
That's what this feels like right now. What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's, I'm sure, what the Utah owner would say about the Warriors. Well, we're going to give you Moses Moody and a second-round pick in 2026. And you're going to take Andrew Wiggins, and you're going to give us everything we want, and you're going to give us a pick back. Well, that's illogical from their standpoint. So I do think that that's how a lot of these trades start out. And if both parties are really motivated to make it work, gradually you'll work your way back to the middle and a deal will get done. And sometimes you need 6 teams involved to get everybody to be happy. And I wonder how many phone calls that was, how many conference calls when, all right, Klay's going to Dallas, and then we're going to get you, and then you're going to get that, and these picks go there, and all the rest of it. These trades are very hard to do, and there's a certain amount of illogic to what each side is trying to do because everyone's trying to win the deal.
Well, sure, and I also
win the big deal.
Win the big deal. So I like also when Lacob says at the end, these writers have no idea what the other side is offering. Like he's sort of saying that, and there are very few people out there that would have a line like I'm an insider. Like TK can get Joe Lacob seemingly on the podcast by making a phone call. Hey, come on the pod. Okay, I'll come on the pod. TK's topped in. Does TK have any idea what the hell's going on in Utah? No. Tim doesn't have people in Utah, I don't think. So he can sit here and probably get some insight into what the Warriors want to do. Is he getting the insight in what the Jazz want to do? There's very few reporters out there that would have both of those lines, and therefore they do just end up becoming largely mouthpieces for one side. Is that what Shams is doing right now? I don't know. Shams is out here like, yeah, you need to do Podziemski even though he doesn't exist, and you need to do 12 picks. That's what I'm being told, Bob. Okay, thanks, Shams. Back to you. The Warriors aren't doing that. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I don't know. Right now, is it a leverage game because there's still time, or are these two sides just not a match? Or is Utah just not even actually interested in trading Lauri Markkanen? Here's Joe Lacob about where the Warriors sit right now.
I'm pretty excited about where we are right now. Am I satisfied? No, never. So we're always going to be in the market to improve our team. Always. I don't care what team we have. If we could get someone else and work out a deal that would make us better, great. We will. We're always looking. We're going to be the most aggressive team in the league.
Okay. So there's your leverage play again.
Yep.
Everyone is sending do you notice this? All teams are sending the same message. Boy, we love getting better, but my goodness, we are okay with who we are right now. So we don't need to do anything. That's the message everyone's trying to send to everybody.
Of course. And it's like when you used to go to the club and you were trying to maybe pick up a female, try to get somebody to show interest in you. If you went out there and were like too eager and too thirsty and trying too hard, you're getting nowhere. So you try to lay back and play it cool, which I was never able to do, but I was told that was the proper approach. And so when you're Joe Lacob and it's mid-July, you're not playing games for 3 months. The schedule's not even out. So yeah, you don't want to be too needy, too thirsty. You want to just still lay back and work the back channels. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, we like what we have. We like DeAnthony. We like Slow-Mo. We like Buddy Hield. We like what we've done this offseason.